For us, it's a daily thing.
It's every day, right?
This is Mammoth Daily
We're going to take you inside the locker room
with Mike Fulta.
We want this show to be about the fans, and we want this show to be driven by our Utah Mammoth community.
And Adrian Denny.
Fans can submit what they want to hear us talk about, what they want to hear Utah weigh in on. It's all going to be here.
Here's Mike and AD with you.
Utahns, countrymen, lend me your ears.
Right here on Mammoth Daily.
Welcome into your Thursday expert edition of Mammoth Daily. And for today's Thursday expert, we're taking it a little bit different direction because of the huge news that came out yesterday that the Winter Classic in 2027 is coming to Salt Lake City, and it's coming to Rice-Eccles Stadium. And so we have none other than the commissioner of the National Hockey League himself, Gary Bettman. He'll be joining us in our middle segment coming up. We also have Logan Cooley, his thoughts on the outdoor game coming to Utah. I'm Mike Fulta. He's Adrian Denny. I am in a darkly lit studio, darker than the streets of Tucson, in front of Adrian's Ford Escape. But AD, I had to jump on with you. I didn't want to just do a Mike's Morning After. We wanted to make sure we got 2 feet into this one because it's a big episode. A lot of news coming down yesterday with the Winter Classic leading the way. We will get to the game breakdown of the 3-1 win over the Ottawa Senators, but we have a lot of ground to cover in this episode.
Yeah, Mike. Wednesday for me was opening night 2.0, October 8th of 2024. It was just a rush from waking up until leaving the arena. And that announcement that came at Rice-Eccles Stadium at 4 p.m. that Utah was getting the Winter Classic was just an unbelievable moment to be part of, with Commissioner Gary Bettman making the announcement. Ryan and Ashley Smith, Jackie Redmond from NHL Network was on hand. Logan Cooley, who's unfortunately injured, but having Logan there just felt right. And for the fans on YouTube, there it is, Rice-Eccles Stadium, 50,000 plus. Mammoth and Avs coming your way in 2027, the Winter Classic in Salt Lake.
Yeah, the Rocky Mountain rivalry literally comes to the foot of the mountain at Rice-Eccles Stadium. That is going to be a fantastic venue, 51,000 plus. Expected. We don't know the exact capacity yet. We don't know the exact configuration, but it's over 51,000 for youth football games. We expect around that number for Utah's outdoor game. And the Mammoth get to be part of this great tradition that started back in 2008 when Pittsburgh went to Buffalo. We saw the Winter Classic a couple days ago at Lone Depot Park in Miami, of all places. They were able to pull it off and make it look spectacular, and now Utah gets the event. It'll be in the team's 3rd season here in Utah, similar to what Seattle got. They got the Winter Classic coming their way in their 3rd season also. So a great talk with the commissioner, Gary Bettman, coming up in a little bit. Adrian, we'll get into the news and all that stuff and break it all down. I thought my favorite part of the press conference today, and what was aired on TNT and NHL Network, was when Logan Cooley was called up on stage. There weren't enough chairs for him up there, and so everyone's kind of looking around, and it's live, right? So you got to make a quick decision. And Gary Bettman, who is the oldest person on the stage, gets up out of his chair and offers it to 21-year-old Logan Cooley. And so you've got the commissioner of the NHL standing while everyone else is sitting. And Cooley's like, okay, I guess I'll sit down here. I'm not going to not take the chair the commissioner is offering me. But it's just one of those funny situations where nobody knew exactly the right thing to do, and you just got to try and trust your gut. And it's a funny visual seeing the 21-year-old take a seat while the most senior executive there is standing and waiting his turn to hop back in the chair. But an awesome day, and this was an event, or this was an announcement that we were kind of guessing at once we knew the location of the press conference and once we knew who was invited. We had We had Gary Bettman, the commissioner, there. Obviously, we had Ryan and Ashley Smith. We had government officials from the state of Utah. Governor Spencer Cox was there in attendance and promising snow for the event next year. But it wasn't a day of specifics. It was a day of celebration, I felt like. It was a joyous occasion. Everybody in such great spirits, and it's a huge deal. If you're in Utah, you're a Utah Mammoth fan, but maybe you haven't seen the Winter Classic in the past. It's a marquee event in the NHL calendar. And I remember, Adrian, when I was a part of the AHL's Rockford Ice Hogs. That's the minor league affiliate of Chicago. And I was there. I was a part of the organization when it was announced that Chicago was getting a Winter Classic. And I remember, even though I'm a full league away from the Blackhawks, I remember the buzz around the organization and just the seismic impact that game had in the organization, in the hockey community, in the community at large. And again, I was in Rockford. I was 2 hours away. I was in a different zip code, and pretty far removed from the event itself and from any kind of planning with the event. But you could still feel the impact a league away, hours away. It's that kind of event. And you ask anyone who's been to one of these games, it is an incredible sporting event to go to, and it's going to be incredible in January of 2027. So it's really exciting. We did hear that they're going to sell alcohol there. That was one of the questions asked at the stadium. It's a private event. It's not a University of Utah event, so they'll be able to sell booze like we do for every hockey game. But also to go along with the Winter Classic, and Adrian, chime in here, but there's so much more than just the game. There's fan experiences outside. There's opportunities to engage with the players. There's new jerseys and new branding and logos that go into all of it. And the entire thing is localized, and it's a local celebration of hockey, but it's a local celebration of the location you're at. And that means it's going to be a really Utah-centered day when that day does come. And it's not just a day. It's a whole, it's the month leading up. That's one big celebration.
And the scene, as we were showing the folks on YouTube, is there a better scene to play a hockey game outdoors than nestled right up against the mountains in one of the most beautiful valleys in the world? And Ashley Smith on the stage talked about, we're Utah. We embrace winter. This is what we do. And now we're going to be doing hockey in the winter. And Mike, the Smith Entertainment Group is so all in on Utah and has done so many things and continues to do so in terms of, stuff for the community to help grow the community in every aspect. And the Winter Classic is an opportunity to give Utah something really special, but it's also an opportunity to invite people to Utah and show Utah off, whether folks are coming to the game or going to be watching nationally, worldwide on television. We love showing off this beautiful state and this great place to come visit. We've heard from so many people how impressed they are with Salt Lake, how clean the city is, the dining, the Delta Center, and now multiply that in the amount of people not only that are going to be experiencing this because they're a Utahn, but because they're coming in from elsewhere. So it's going to be awesome.
And Ryan Smith on stage compared it to the Olympics, where we have the Olympics coming in 2034, and this is, he used the words dry run. I wouldn't necessarily call it a dry run because it's going to be live, like we're going to be doing it for real coming up in January, but it is kind of a prelude in a sense to what you're saying, where you're showing off the state. We did get an interview with Ryan. We got a bunch of interviews, and it was fantastic. We did get a chance to talk with owner and governor Ryan Smith, and we'll get to that in probably tomorrow's episode. But one thing he said that I wanted to highlight was he mentioned how the NBA All-Star Game a couple years ago kind of lubricated some things for them and taught them some things, maybe opened some channels that they didn't know need to be opened. And so now that they've gone through that with the NBA All-Star Game from 23, some of those channels are already open and they already know how to get transportation figured out for these big events and things of that nature. So they're two very different events, an NBA All-Star Game and a Winter Classic, but just having the eyes of the sporting world upon you, I think that experience in dealing with those big events is going to be key for this event next year. But great to talk with everybody. Again, our chat with Gary Bettman is coming up. And AD, do you want to get to that right now, or do you want to keep talking about what we saw and witnessed at Rice-Eccles the other day?
You know what? The one person we haven't heard from is head coach Andre Tourigny, who was busy getting ready for a big 3-1 win over Ottawa to open a 7-game homestand. But I really liked what Bear said when he had an opportunity to talk about the outdoor game and what it means to him and the team.
For the entire organization, from the fans to have the opportunity to experience that, for us coaches and player and our families to have that opportunity to be in an environment that will be absolutely special and will be magical. I think that's unbelievable. I think for you, for our fans, for everybody, I think that's a unique opportunity. Never had the opportunity in the NHL. So in 13, when I left Colorado, they had it the following year, and in Ottawa, same thing. They had it a couple of years after. So you know, it's a huge privilege. As much as you can watch on TV, there's one on two. There's a few every year, but there's 32 teams in the league. It's not everybody who has that opportunity. So I think we're fortunate. I really appreciate the league giving us that opportunity, and that's a testimony for me to the confidence they have in Ryan and Ashley Smith, the job they did here with the SEG since the team arrived. So grateful for all of that.
And that's a great point that he brings up. It's a huge honor to receive this from the league because not everybody gets a Winter Classic. This will be the 18th, I believe, in the NHL. I believe it's Winter Classic number 18. It started back in 2018, but they missed a lockout year, at least one. And I can't remember if they count the COVID year where there was no fans, but not everyone gets to host this. And some teams have hosted multiple, and a bunch of teams have hosted none. So this is a huge honor, and the NBA takes, or the NHL takes this very seriously, who they give a Winter Classic to, and clearly they want to showcase the new franchises and grow the franchises in those cities, but they also are giving Utah a chance to show off to the rest of the hockey community and to the rest of the hockey world as well. So Bear did participate in an outdoor game. It would have been a Heritage Classic, which is the Canadian version of a Winter Classic, with the Ottawa 67s as a junior coach. It wasn't the Heritage Classic itself, but they got to play on that outdoor sheet after the NHL teams were done with it. And from what Bear was telling us yesterday morning, Adrian, it sounded like it was too cold outside. And when that happens, the ice gets so slick, and there's no water to kind of slow the puck down a little bit, that the pucks were just flying all over the ice. There was icing after icing after icing because nobody was used to how quick the puck was moving over ice that was frozen at negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit.
Gary Bettman, I think, specified, did he say 27 degrees would be?
26. 26. Yeah.
26 would be ideal. And you know that as he enters his 18th Winter Classic, he's got ice conditions at the top of mind.
Yeah.
So that's got to be the spot.
Well, and they had an outdoor game in Colorado. I don't think it was a Winter Classic, but was it a stadium series?
Yeah, it was a stadium series at Coors Field 2014.
So this is funny. The Winter Classic they just had in Miami, puck drop was colder in Miami than it was in Denver for that stadium series game. I think it was like 65 in Denver that day in 2014. It was like 63 in South Florida. So you never quite know what you're going to get. Hopefully it's cold and snowy. Those are the most magical Winter Classic games, no doubt. But we have a bunch of stuff to get to still. We did want to touch on JJ Peterka. Yesterday announced to Team Germany for the Olympics, so he will be headed to Milan. No surprise there, Adrian. We knew he was going to make that team. We were talking about him not being on that original 6, the preliminary roster for the Germans in the summer, and we kind of remembered after that he didn't have his next contract by the time those preliminary rosters were announced. Funny enough, he signed it like 6 days later with Utah, but because of the way the insurance work or doesn't work with the IIHF, if he would have gone to World Championships and got hurt, that could have affected his next contract, and he could have lost out on a lot of money. So the prudent move for JJ to wait until that contract was signed and not go to World Championships. But I don't know if it's Team Germany making him wait in line because he didn't play at World Championships for him or what have you. But that was, in my opinion, that was part of the equation for JJ not being on that preliminary Team Germany roster, because he's one of the best German players in the world. You'd think he would definitely be on that. But no harm, no foul. He is headed to Milan. That gives Utah 4 Olympians: him, Clayton Keller for Team USA, Olli Mata Team Finland, and Karel Vejmelka for Team Czechia.
Yeah, and JJ's represented him 3 times at the World Championships, 2 times in World Juniors. He's definitely a big part of their program. We saw another big part of their program at the Delta Center last night. Tim Stützle, Utah snap his 13-game scoring streak, I think, as they beat the Senators by a count of 3-1. So he's a good one. So Team Germany, JJ Peterka and Tim Stützle going to be reunited again.
And we'll talk about Utah's 3-1 win over Ottawa to start out the homestand. We'll get to that in a little bit. But first, let's get to the commissioner. Let's not keep Gary Bettman waiting any longer. And Mr. Bettman, you can have my seat. But let's go to Gary Bettman right now, talking about Utah's appointment to the 2027 Winter Classic.
Let's hear from the experts.
Well, Commissioner, thank you very much for being here. Very exciting day for the NHL and for Utah. Can you give us a taste of what all went into bringing us here today?
Well, we're thrilled to be here. We can believe we're thrilled at the incredible start that the Mammoth have had as a franchise here in Salt Lake City. And we think the sooner we could bring a big event here, the better. And I think the fans are going to love it. This stadium lays out very well for us. The background is spectacular. And it's going to be a wonderful bonding experience for Mammoth fans.
Tell us more about the fit of the venue here at Rice-Eccles Stadium. It seems intimate for hockey and a great background of the mountains.
Well, 50,000, give or take, depending on how we configure, is a good size. That's more than triple right now the sellout at Delta. And so that large a gathering of hockey fans here is going to feel special. It's an intimate, steep bowl. I think people are going to not just enjoy the overall experience, but enjoy seeing a hockey game here.
We saw the Seattle Kraken host a Winter Classic a couple years back. What was the impact that you saw that event have on a young franchise?
Well, like Seattle, the Mammoth have started and built a really strong foundation of support. This will solidify it even more.
As you look at outdoor games and winter classics, and the NHL's been doing this for almost 2 decades, what do you personally look forward to the most as the winter classic starts, and for the fans, maybe to whet their appetite, something to look forward
Two
to even
things.
more?
One, what we do to the stadium, because every venue is different and we try and take on the ambiance of where we are. And two, seeing that many people at a hockey game for me is very special because we play in smaller venues, and to be outside in the elements in front of a packed house, all of our games have been sold out. To me, makes it very special to see that many hockey fans gathering and enjoying a special event.
You had just mentioned that the Winter Classic, or bringing an outdoor game to Utah, was something that you guys spoke about very early with Ryan and Ashley Smith. Was that as early as the idea of bringing the NHL to Utah itself? The idea of bringing an outdoor game here?
You know, the exact wording everybody could quibble about, but I know, have gotten to know Ryan. He likes big things. He likes big events. He likes to do things special for Utah. And whether or not he implicitly or explicitly made the point, I knew that this would be something on his radar.
Well, Mr. Commissioner, we thank you very much for your time, and thank you for bringing the NHL and an outdoor game here to our great state.
I'll see you next year. Is it right here?
That's right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
This is Mammoth Daily.
And thanks again to Commissioner Gary Bettman. Anytime the commish is in town, it's a big deal. And he was treated to a 3-1 win at the Delta Center last night. So Utah getting the Winter Classic, Gary Bettman providing some comments. Was there anything that he said, Adrian, that surprised you or stuck out to you? Again, it wasn't the type of interview or media scrum or press conference where you're like digging at details and information. It's just kind of getting a feel for how did this come to be?
Yeah. Rice-Eccles Stadium for him, he said, didn't present any obstacles. In fact, I think he felt like it was a better than above average fit for an NHL outdoor game. Just the way that the stadium is configured, there's not a lot of space on the sidelines, right? You're going to be as on top of the action as you possibly could be, right? You look at Fenway Park, and it's kind of got more of a less sloped grade in the stands. And Rice-Eccles Stadium, Mike, as you've been to football games up there, is a madhouse. And you know, you got to give some credit to the architecture of the stadium. Everything's on top of everything. So he did compliment the layout of the stadium, and 50,000 people in there. You think Pac-12 after dark, folks. That's what the Mammoth are bringing to Rice-Eccles Stadium. You've got the Delta Center Mammoth Nation, and they're all bringing 3 friends to the game to get to 50,000. So you want to talk about nuts? Check that out.
That's a great point about the sidelines, because at a lot of NFL venues, there's a ton of space on the sidelines. And so there's just more room between you and the ice sheets. Whereas Rice-Eccles, like you said, more condensed sidelines. And that's a very vertical stadium as well. And so I think it's going to be one of the best viewing experiences in Winter Classic history, to be honest, going back to when the event started in 2008. So that is a lot to look forward to. It's not the first time this event will be held at a college football venue. We had it at the Cotton Bowl between Dallas and Nashville a couple years ago. That was Corey Perry taking a long walk of shame just a couple minutes into that game. It's been at Notre Dame Stadium between Chicago and Boston. It's been at the Big House in Ann Arbor, over 100,000 people, where the Michigan Wolverines play football. That was pretty unreal. 2017, Detroit and Toronto. But It's coming to Salt Lake City, and it can't come soon enough. That's going to be a great event. AD, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit about the game last night, the 3-1 win. I know you've had time to digest things as we record this. You just finished the post-game show. I think we're both still a little wired from the game, but what do you want to get off your chest first?
How about the tape-to-tape victory? Scoring 3:59 into the first period and never looking back. 7th game this year that the Mammoth have scored the first goal and led from tape to tape. And 56 minutes and 1 second. As I look back over games that Utah has led for at least that much this year, you've got St. Louis, the 7-4 win, 56 minutes and 42 seconds. Minnesota, the 6-2 win 2 nights later, 59 minutes and 4 seconds. But Mike, third longest that they've held a lead tape to tape in the game, and they just never look back. And it was a 2-1 game for 28 minutes and 1 second. They had 3 power play chances to tie it, did the Senators, and the Mammoth and Karel Vejmelka able to kill it off, and then got that huge insurance goal from Daniil Boot. But they started on time. They got 2 goals in the first 7:20 before the Senators could get settled in Salt Lake. And, you saw the pushback that you expected, but the early goals pushed Utah ahead.
Yeah, and that first one, we just saw it if you're watching on YouTube. And we talked about this on radio, AD, but gosh, just Clayton Keller burrowing his way to the front of the net so he can make that pass. We've seen a lot of goals from this team and from those top lines where they're able to zip it around, tic-tac-toe, bing, bang, Bob's your uncle, boom, back of the net. Keller, as you're watching this, watch the way he comes out from behind the net and digs into Shane Pinto, who's a good player, good centerman, good defensive forward for Ottawa. And he gets the angle on him, and he doesn't really shy away from that contact. He kind of invites it as a puck carrier and uses his leverage to then make the pass to Krause. And I love to see that, because that's what we heard about from Bear earlier in the year. Like, this team needs to get to the inside more. And it's plays like that we talk about, beating your guy to the inside and fighting through contact. And Utah eventually got that next goal, right? They made it 2-0. And then when Ottawa pushed back, they eventually made it 3-1. And it was just a fun team to watch. Fun team to watch tonight, even though Ottawa was the better team at stretches. Looking at the Sport Logic analytics, Mammoth still led in expected goals, if you're into that kind of thing. A few more high-danger chances for Utah, including that one you're seeing on YouTube, Johnny Marino knocking it in. John kind of played off that goal, Adrian, in our walk-off interview with him, saying, oh, yeah, if I didn't make that, I'd be a bad player. But like, you watch it, and the window closes quickly. In slow-mo, it looks wide open, but when you watch it live speed, you get an appreciation for just the tight margins these guys have to deal with.
Yeah, and again, in a spot to score a goal, as he reads the play, Keller has it out high. He gives it up to him and then goes straight to the net where he's there to knock it home. And look at Utah's goals from Wednesday night, Mike, on top of the net in all 3 against a team that they'd struggled to score against. Just 3 goals in 3 games against the Senators.
But run that again, Adrian, the Marino goal, because it's John Marino who gets to the net and stashes in the rebound. But look at who else is around the net too. Schmaltz is there, and I believe Krause is there as well. So you have 2 guys at the net, and what does Bear say? You bring 1, you bring 2. So there's 2 Mammoth around the net, and the guys deep in the zone. It looks like it was Dylan Cousins and one other Senator. Like, they're tied up with those 2, and Marino had slipped past everybody. I don't know who it might have been Cousins, the winger, who got a little crossed up on the coverage, but Marino was all alone. And you love to see Utah score those gritty, tight goals off of rebounds, off of broken plays. And the third one is a perfect example of that too. And how about Daniil Boot getting his second of the year? Like, I think that's so big for him. And you could see the reaction he had, kind of laying on the ice, arms outstretched, Like, he's been so close a lot, and he probably should have a couple more goals, but he's learning how to score at this level, and we'll see if that goal last night unlocks something for him.
Yeah, and just in front of the net, like, he was in that blue paint and he was hacking and whacking and wasn't going to stop until the puck went in.
Yeah,
and it stayed loose on Levi Merilainen. Referee saw the puck the entire time, and Daniil hammered it home.
Yeah, and credit to Trevor Hansen, the referee, too, because it was never covered by Merilainen. And if that puck's loose and the goalie doesn't have it, like, you have every right to keep hacking away at it. And, defending teams might not like that, but when the puck's loose, like, you can't. I understand why Ottawa challenged it, because your PK had been good to that point. Utah hadn't had anything going on the power play, and it's, it could be a big swing in the third period. So I like their decision to challenge it, but watching the replay, I didn't think there was much chance that was going to come off the board. So you get some gritty goals, but we can't go too much longer without talking about the star of the night, Karel Vejmelka. I mean, he had 32 saves, which I thought he had more. The scoreboard had him at like 35, 36. Officially 32 saves on the night. And I thought Utah did a good job of allowing Vejmelka to see a lot of the shots that came his way when Ottawa was cycling the puck. But there were a bunch of chances off the rush that Veggie had to be on his game for, and he was there each time.
Just so composed. He's just so in control of it. And he's now won 7 of his last 9 starts. That was the 8th time this year he's allowed a single goal in a game. He's now all alone atop the NHL in wins at 19, 11, and 2, and winning 7 of his last 9 starts. But Mike, for me, the most impressive thing about Veggie is 16 times in 33 starts he's allowed 2 goals or less. Yeah. Right? He's just shutting him down, and especially the last couple nights in some compromising penalty killing situations, he's been nails. But when he's in between the pipes, the Mammoth, they've got the confidence from him being there, plus some big saves.
I'm looking up his stats since he got pulled. That's the line I keep using as kind of the line of when his season turned around. And he's got the second most wins in the NHL since he got pulled on December 1st. So these are stats since December 2nd. How about a .917 save percentage for Karel Vejmelka since the start of December? That's through 13 games. That's a pretty good sample size right there. And if you sort it by top guys in the league in that span, that is 6th out of guys who have played 10 or more. You got Gibson, Gustafson, Blackwood, Jet Greaves for Columbus has been good. Joel Hofer turning around. Igor Shesterkin, then Karel Vejmelka. So he's been one of the best goalies in the league since he got pulled on December 1st against San Jose, and that's given this team a chance to win every night.
Great way to start the homestand. Let's hear from head coach Andre Tourigny on what he thought of this one as he gave his opening statement to the media on Wednesday night. Love the explanation from Bear. And Mike, Bear told us Wednesday at morning skate, like, these first home games of homestands are tricky. You're barely even home. And the matchup with Ottawa tonight was a tough one too. And the guys are ready from the get-go.
They're a good team. They play hard. They're tough to play against. They give them a lot of credit. They do a good job. Second, I think, was we play hard, especially at the end of the game. I think early on, even if we took the lead, I think we were that was a little bit an adjustment for us, and in the third, I really think when the game was on the line, when push come to shove, we really raised our game, raised our urgency, and we were really stingy, and we had pace, and we had composure. So I like that. The way we closed the game was 2-1. There was no panic, no stress in our game. There was just urgency and focus. So I'm really proud of the guys for that.
Yeah. Urgency, focus. I thought the game management was really good as well. Dom Moore highlighted this on the Daniil boot goal when Utah made it 3-1. The first thing he talked about was how Michael Carcone got a puck into the offensive zone and then got off the ice. He got off the ice in a change. And because he did that, Tanev was the one that came onto the ice. Now, Ottawa lost him in coverage a little bit because he was fresh off the bench. They had lost track of the guys who were changing. But Tanev comes fresh on, and he comes with a burst of speed that Carcone might not have had because he was at the end of his shift. But Carcone goes off on a change, keeps his shift a little shorter. Tanev comes on and helps create that goal. I noticed that. I noticed the same thing from Lawson Krause, too. This was at the end of one of Utah's power plays, and Krause could have stayed in the offensive zone, but Utah only had one defenseman out there because the power play unit was still out there. So Krause, even in the offensive zone, makes sure he gets his butt off on a change, getting that second defenseman on because you're protecting a lead at that point in the game. And I thought there were a lot of moments like that where Utah made smart decisions to keep shifts short, to not take any bad penalties, and to manage the lead, which is something this team has not done exceedingly well throughout this year.
And that's 2 games in a row, Mike. They didn't lead at all until the overtime game winner on Monday, but they managed the game. Everything they did gave them a chance to ultimately win that game in overtime. Then you look at Wednesday's game, they're playing the whole game ahead, but it's really the same game. Everything they did to have a chance to win. And leading 2-1 for 28 minutes and 1 second, Mike, that's not necessarily a high percentage situation that you hold a team almost half the game without a goal, but they were able to do so because of what they did. They killed penalties, they got timely saves, and when Carcone got into that little tussle with Brady Tkachuk as the puck was exiting the Utah offensive end, 5'9" Michael Carcone, 6'4" Brady Tkachuk. He stayed with the play, brought it back into the offensive end, got off. Tanev replaced him, and Utah scored the goal, as Dom said.
Do want to shout out Turbo, Brandon Tanev. I thought this was one of his most impactful games. Had an assist, a great play on the goal to get that assist, but blocked a few shots. I mean, it looked like he took a couple that stung him a bit, but he was noticeable, and I just wanted to shout him out because I know we haven't seen him as much the last couple of weeks. He's been out of the lineup, but I thought he played well in a fourth-line role for Utah. Also wanted to shout out our friend Tyson, who came by and said hi to us at the top of Section 7. Tyson's a season ticket holder. I guess him and his friends, they sit right in front of us. So we've been walking past him for the last few months now. Didn't know who he was, but he came up and was talking to us about the show. So Tyson, thank you. We salute you for that. But AD, anything else before we get to another one of our interviews from the press conference on Wednesday at Rice-Eccles? We got Logan Cooley here.
Yeah, turbo time, Mike. It was turbo time a lot on Wednesday. He was tied with Lawson Krause for the team lead in block shots with 3, laid down 7 hits, had that assist. It was impactful. He hadn't played for 10 straight games until he came back Monday, but he's really got to feel good that he's back in the lineup, and the Mammoth have won 2 straight games with him back because that's why he's here, to help the team win.
Yeah, and he brings speed, brings physicality, and he's not going to make a ton of plays with the puck, but that speed can help create space and create offense. So Let's get to another guy who's got a ton of speed, AD, Logan Cooley. We talked to him. He's injured right now. We're expecting to get him back after the Olympics. But he was representing the players, the Mammoth Players Union at the press conference at Rice-Eccles. And it was great to catch up with him, first of all, because we hadn't seen him recently. It was great to talk with him and get his take on the Winter Classic. What's his birth year? He's 21 years of age right now. So is he a 2004?
I think he is a 2004. Let's pull it up here.
Because I was trying to ask him, like, do you remember the first ever Winter Classic? But that was in 2008. It would have been like 4 or 5 years old, depending on exactly when he was born. But the first ever Winter Classic had Sidney Crosby and the Pittsburgh Penguins, of course, from Cooley's hometown of Pittsburgh. And I was asking him that question in this interview, and I'm like, oh, you were, learning to read at that point. So maybe maybe you don't remember that first Winter Classic. But a fun chat with Logan all the same. So AD, let's get to that. All right, here with Logan Cooley at the site of the 2027 Winter Classic. And Logan, how cool is this announcement to hear that you're going to be playing in one of these special Winter Classic games next year?
Yeah, it's super special. Like I said, I think it's, as a kid growing up, I remember always watching the Winter Classic. I feel like those are the games, you kind of circle on your calendar and, you make sure you tune in for those. So it's going to be cool to, kind of have the whole hockey world tuning in and to be able to play outside. I remember as a kid just being on the outdoor rink, and there's truly no better feeling. That's when you're having the most fun, and that's when the game is just, it feels like kind of just a game. So, as a little kid, it's special, and I'm excited to kind of do it at the highest league in the world now.
How about the setting, Logan? I know you've attended football games here, and you look at the mountains and the place is packed, and to be able to play a hockey game, how exciting is that going to be?
Yeah, it's super exciting. I think, the back shot, of this place, it's special, and I hope it's pretty cold. I hope there's a lot of snow, and I think when you add snow and hockey, it kind of just goes together. And I'm happy, I'm excited, and I wish it was right now because I want to get out there and play.
Have you thought about the gear wear at all? Will you have like a beanie or anything for warm-ups, or eye black, anything like that?
Definitely some eye black, maybe come out with and warm ups with some sunglasses if there's some sun. But, it's tough to kind of predict how the weather's going to be for now. So I think that kind of, depends on the weather, but, I'll get creative with it.
You talk about, playing outside and you got the mountains, but the Colorado Avalanche going to be the opposition. And as you look at our games that we've played against them, it seems pretty good for an outdoor setting at a Winter Classic, Mammoth and Avs.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think, every time you play them, it's a super competitive game, physical, a lot of speed. So I think, you add the Winter Classic, it feels like a different game, but at the same time, it's just a normal game, and you got to, make sure you go out there to try to win and get 2 points, which is super important. But I think, these two teams, it fits well with, the mountains and, kind of Utah and the way that, our games go. It's going to be a good game, I'm sure.
Now, your birth year isn't all that long before the first ever Winter Classic in 2008, but do you have any recollection of that, or do you remember seeing highlights of that, or even kind of taking in how big of a deal that was with Sidney Crosby scoring the shootout winner in that first ever game?
Yeah, definitely. You see all the highlights, and the Penguins blue jerseys, I think, were pretty sick. And I think just growing up in Pittsburgh, having Crosby there, the team, and that was a game that, the whole city was super excited for. And, everyone kind of tunes in and watches. And, that game was obviously a lot of snow there. You're just pushing the puck around, not making too many plays. And, that's kind of what you want. I think you want it to be snowy. You want it to be kind of, a different type of style out there, and especially with the ice. So I'm, excited, like I said, to be in this opportunity and to have the chance to play in a Winter Classic.
What's it been like in the locker room? As we just had the Winter Classic in South Florida, and as you guys maybe talk, oh, it'd be so cool if it came to Utah. What's it been like as you guys have spoken about it as a team, as a group, to your stallmate?
Yeah, I mean, I think when, we first got here, you see the mountains, and you kind of just imagine playing in a Winter Classic or, Stadium Series or whatnot. But I think this just kind of fits with going on playing outdoor hockey. You look around, the weather, everything about it just seems like, it's made to be playing outside. And, I know everyone's super excited. Like, everyone wants to have the chance to play in a Winter Classic. And, there's guys that, kind of go your whole career without maybe playing in one. So to be in this position to have the chance to play in the Winter Classic in Utah, having the support of our fans, it's really going to be special.
How many people have you played in front of before? Because this place holds 51,000. I mean, the Delta Center holds 17. This is 3 times as much as what the Delta Center holds. Like, can you even wrap your mind around playing hockey in front of that many people?
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I think, it's kind of going to maybe be like a football game feel of, everyone screaming nonstop. And, hopefully we could hear it on the ice. And, I want it to be loud enough where, you got to scream if you want the puck or stuff like that. But, it's truly going to be awesome. I've never played, obviously, in front of this many people before. And, especially at home, it's going to be nice to have the support of our fans. And, I bet it gets pretty rowdy too. And,
Yeah, how do you think the fans are going to make the transition from downtown in the compact Delta Center into this? And then, you take those fans and times 3 of them for each friend they're going to have with the capacity.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of our first time too, but I think it's going to be cool for the fans too. To have the Winter Classic here, for them to experience it firsthand. And it's nice too, because you see other maybe venues and you're a little bit farther back, but this is pretty close to the actual ice. And it's going to be easy to watch, easy to hear the fans. And like I said, they're going to be close to the ice too. So I'm super excited to, like I said, be in Utah and have our own fans here. It's going to be awesome.
Appreciate the time, Logan, and we'll see you here next year.
Yep, thank you. Sounds good.
Great to chat with Logan at the press conference at Rice-Eccles announcing the Winter Classic coming to Utah. And thanks again to our great PR staff, Jeffrey, with Rachel, David, Cassie, everybody for facilitating those interviews. We have 2 more coming up. We'll get to those tomorrow. We talk with owner and governor Ryan Smith. We also talk to Chris Armstrong, the president of hockey operations for the Utah Mammoth. So 2 more great chats that are coming up tomorrow. You're going to want to listen to those as we get you ready as well. Along with those interviews, we got a game preview for you tomorrow with Utah taking on the St. Louis Blues in Game 2 of the 7-game homestand. But AD, don't get used to this after games. Don't get used to these late night recording sessions here because you know me, you know radio guys, we need our beauty sleep. You're a workhorse, you're an alien, you don't sleep. Actually, you sleep drive.
I do.
Apparently, you drive around half asleep. But don't get used to me hopping on with you. It's only for these big announcements.
That was a special day, special edition of Hockey Night in Utah, special edition of Mammoth Daily. And Mike, guess what? As you just said, we're going to take it into Friday, our Friday free-for-all. Owner and governor, Ryan Smith. We should have asked Gary Bettman if he's ever been a Thursday expert before. And we've also got to ask Ryan, have you ever been involved in a Friday free-for-all?
Oh.
Well, here we go.
Can't wait. Thanks again, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow at the Delta Center. As always, feel free to come up and say hi at the top of Section 7. Would love to chat with you about the team, get your prediction for the night, and have a chat with you. We'll see you then.